So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the WoT Pro League Season 3 Match Day 18. And we have the best games on the way for you. I cannot tell you that enough today because they really are the creme de la creme of World of Tanks, especially in the Pro League. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, in case you missed it, Match Day 17 was pretty damn good itself. So let's have a little look at the results there just to keep you guys up to speed. Now, the games we watched was DeNova against Ulanska Fantasia, followed by Spale and WoT Pro. But outside of that, there wasn't too many surprises, but you've got to take into account right now everything matters. So Dignitas smashed Evil Panda Squad 4-1 there. Mouseputs took on Team WD. That was a 3-1 result. So Team WD yet to really warm up again. They're struggling, but Odem Mortis taking down Casino Crew was a bit of a strong victory for those guys. So really impressive stuff overall. But if you were there, but you want a little bit of a dabble back to what you watched just a couple of days ago, we have a certain video lined up to highlight all the incredible plays that those four teams actually pulled off. So guys, let's get that video rolling and get yourselves ready for this one. So, good evening, ladies and gents, and welcome to the WoT Pro League Season 3 Match Day 17. Far superior health than him right now. 39 HP is enough to do it, and that'll do the job, but still, 6 seconds left. Can Dugget stop this one in time? Yes, he can, and the matter of that second. Yeah, Dugget now is in trouble. 24 HP, one more shell, and he is out of there. He's just dodging bullets. World War comes flying in to protect him, but still, this is treacherous times. 20 seconds left. Nicholas Black takes a beating. He's down at 600 HP. We've got 15 seconds left, and right now, Team WD just need to stay alive if they want a chance to draw this one out.
So that's going to put it down to about 20-odd seconds for Mouseputs, while only one cap in the base of Mouseputs. And Nicholas Black, he's going to be in charge of trying to reset this.
Yeah, but he's going face-to-face with Snip right now, and Snip has got the far better position. Now, Alien comes into the matter, and that is obliteration. My word, Team WD are being melted down exactly where they stand. As Yuto now surrounded by the opposition. He has the 1390 with him, but it's nowhere to be found, and that is him out of there. It's a matter of time before he falls down. 385 HP left, 48 seconds, but 13 on the cap. Breakneck will deal the killing blow, and WoT Pro get that first map under their belt, and in some convincing fashion. This is easy pickings at the moment. Fantis will fall, Eurofish will follow, and WoT Pro, my word, folks. They've not lost a single tank at the moment. They've just destroyed the opposition. Mokulumi down, Agaha, next target, 10 seconds left. They need to make this count, and WoT Pro have just about done it. In the last couple of seconds, they landed the shells they needed. Kusok will seal the deal, and WoT Pro basically taking the reins of that game right at the very last second.
Breakneck is going to be the first to appear. He does get punished immediately. A couple of punishing shots, to say the very least.
Wow.
And Mokulumi finally finishing off. Breakneck getting completely broken.
And now Diver going on the final hunt. Muppety has moments to live for. Diver's going to put him to bed. And WoT Pro, they get a clean slate victory there, 5-0. And Spale, what are you doing to me, folks? I liked you guys. This is why I like Castle Crew more than you. Oh, ouch. I'm sorry. I got this. No, I'm only kidding.
That hurt for you to say, right?
Wow, that was a little bit of a treat to watch that one again. I think we both thoroughly enjoyed that. Maybe if you're a Spale fan, it wasn't the best of days for you, but it really was a great set of games there. So if you do want to check out those full VODs, do head over to the WoTProLeague.com site and watch them in full, because I can tell you right now, it literally is a thrilling ride from start to end. But obviously, with those games in mind, let's check out the rankings, because it is getting close now. We are into that later season section, and the teams I want us to initially focus on are the likes of Spale, because they kind of fluffed that game against WoT Pro there. We didn't expect a victory, but they got stomped, and now they're sitting in 7th. They're out of that top 6.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest surprise. You know, I thought after Season 2, the disappointment of them not going to the finals, I thought they'd get themselves up a little further. But they could still get there. I mean, you know, Odem, Mortis, Spale, and Evil Panda Squad all sitting on the same amount of points. That's 20. So those three are really in contention as we head through to the latter stage of this season. If I put my money on it, I would say Spell will do it. But if Odem Mortis beat DeNova today, then really I think Odem Mortis are going to be sitting in that top 6 position at the end of the season, because they are looking strong at this point, and they had a really good start of this season. Kazaku, I guess, is the other one to mention, just because season 2 third place finisher, now sitting down in 9th position, and that's really unusual, just because they are a team that does so well on the online parts. They sit 4th or 5th or along those lines, and they struggle at offline, but this time it's exactly the opposite way around. They've done well at the offline event, and they haven't done well at the group stages. So that's kind of upsetting, because everyone is a Kazaku fan. They have a huge fan base behind them.
Certainly.
I'm just looking to see if they can actually get themselves back up there. They still have a chance. They've still got a few match days.
They certainly do, but it's that mid-table, isn't it? 20 points between 3 teams now. That's stupidly close, and it's for the defining position as well, to get in that top 6. So let's get you lined up for today's games, because we told you at the very start it's going to be incredible, and we were not joking. And we now see the fact that Odem Mortis have to topple DeNova if they want to secure that top 6 spot early on. If they can take them out, get those 3 points, they'll be sitting fairly safe. Now, not excluding that the likes of Evil Panda Squad can do well, and Spale, but still, that'd be a fantastic victory there, really would be. And following that, we got you the Giants. We can't miss a game like this. Dignitas against WoT Pro. That's going to bring everyone out, so I cannot wait to see that one, because it's so hard to tell with these teams at the moment. They're so close. And I want to know quickly your thoughts on that first game, because it's a hard proving point now. If there's going to be a harder team to come up against, DeNova is one of those now. They're the ones that strike fear. Do you think that there's going to be a chance for the other team?
Yeah, I think Odem Mortis can do it. I mean, DeNova, we've talked about them being such a strong team, but they've actually had a couple of upsetting results.
They've slipped every now and then.
I mean, they've been beaten 5-0 by Evil Panda Squad, so I think Odem Mortis, they can certainly just pick themselves up and just have a good, consistent few matches. Then I think they've certainly got a chance against them. But if DeNova just have like a good day where they're 90% of their best, Odem Mortis are certainly going to struggle a lot.
Well, I feel for you guys at home, because I'm not the one betting on this. I put my opinion out there, but you guys are getting your predictions in for the sake of gold and goodies, which obviously you guys want. And I know there's a certain other lady that you guys seem to quite enjoy talking to. Melly, how are you doing over there? Are you looking forward to these games today?
I'm really excited. I think we're going to see some great matches, and I can't wait for them to start. So let's make this quick. It's pretty easy for you guys at home to get involved. Just head over to our social media platforms and follow and like us and be part of our community, get part of our network, and also make sure following our Twitch channel. It's very important, because as soon as you do, you get notified per email as soon as we're going live. So you won't miss any minute by then. So. And on the other hand, following our social media platforms has clearly its benefits, because we're putting up challenges, contests en masse on those pages. So you can win awesome goodies, awesome prizes. It starts with bonus codes. It heads over to gold, keyboards, headsets. There will be some great stuff coming up in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned, don't miss anything. And by the way, today is our last day of the Halloween challenge. We already have some great submissions, which Lauren will show in a second. But we still waiting for more.
They are really cool. So hopefully we can throw that up on the screen right now. Look at that. That's incredible. The team on Cunningham looks amazing there. And these people go to so much effort. It's so much better than ours. And then the next one as well, pretty awesome. That looks more like an Ollie kind of, attempt.
But with more
one,
details.
Look at this
awesome.
one.
You can also pull out that ESL thingy, so it's detachable.
Wow.
You can just put it on your desk or wherever you like.
Awesome. I'm a big fan of that.
People are putting so much effort in those pumpkins, and we love seeing them. So you have time till 11:59 p.m. So tonight it will end. We have 32.5k gold online. First place will be rewarded with 10k gold. So if you have time before the match starts, head over to your supermarket of choice. Get a pumpkin and carve while watching our show. So it's the perfect match, I guess. And besides that, we have our regular challenges, of course, where you can win bonus codes. we will be giving out 3 bonus codes for guessing the exact right outcome of the upcoming matchup. So head over to our Facebook page. I already posted a vote where you can vote for your favorite team, and below that vote in the comment section, you just have to hand in your predictions. And if you guess right and get the exact scoreline right, you might get lucky and win a bonus code. I will be giving out 3, as I said. And the other way of winning bonus codes, so much prizes, is just tweeting. Tweet us what's on your mind. If you have any questions to our lovely casters, just head over to Twitter and use the hashtag WGLEU and tell us what's on your mind. If you have any questions regarding the games, opinions, feedback for the show, we love reading from you, so get involved.
Yeah, that's exactly the point there. I love hearing from you guys at home, even the questions that sometimes do catch me out. I do like hearing from you guys. So do make sure you get involved and use that new hashtag, that WGLEU. Easy as that, nice and simple. Get your predictions through to us because, hell, I don't want to call this one. So let's look at those head-to-heads to get you an idea of, maybe a little bit of an easier choice, possibly. Obviously, my lovely co-caster has all the insight in the world into these two. And take us through who's going to be that standout player, because there's got to be someone right now.
Yeah, I mean, for DeNova, they've got a lot of good players in there, and from all sorts of teams, from all sorts of walks of life. So it's a really interesting mix of guys. Ronnie's the team captain for that one, but the guy calling the shots is Phoenix International from Red Gra. Actually came second in Eurosteel 2012, so he's extremely good, extremely experienced, been around for a long time. FC Dynamo also joining this team for this season as well. I think he was in Red Rush Team 3, that was below Red Rush 1 and Red Rush Unity, or Red Rush Team 2 as it was known then. Other players, rest in peace, he came from New Star, then he went to WoT Pro, and now he's in DeNova, and just a really good, solid team. I think they've still got some communication errors and execution errors, and sometimes their lineup's a little bit questionable. Generally, a very strong team indeed. For Odem Mortis, we got Thoris as the team captain. As you can see, 6 wins, 6 losses. They're doing almost exactly like Evil Final Squad did last season, now with 5 match days to go until the end, including this one. Standout player, I would say, Uncro, Threaten's very good at IS3, probably one of the top 5 in Europe, full stop. Uncro T69, we've got Magus, the team manager, team captain, and Sharthak, the team manager. So a strong team for Odem Mortis. I think what's really got going for them is just the fact that they are, playing a lot together. They're very well melded together, and I think that's their strongest point. But will that be broken by DeNova? We're just gonna have to find out.
Yeah, DeNova are a really hard team to kind of predict or control at the moment. They seem to be really challenging the top dogs, no matter if it's WoT Pro, Dignitas, and Odem Mortis at the start of the season was certainly up there with those two. So it really is going to be a battle to show how ready Odem Mortis are to fight for their place in that top 6. So I do believe the tank picks are beginning. So let's head over to that one so you guys can have a glimpse as to what we might be seeing on Himmelsdorf, which will be our first map. But I want to have your thoughts quickly towards this. I know you're a big DeNova fan. I know you like the way they play. You have for a while. And you're the one who tipped these guys to really get to this point. Is this their map to pick up straight away? Is this going to be their easier choice?
I think this is their strongest map. I love these guys on Himmelsdorf, but they've had quite a few roster changes throughout Season 2 and Season 3. And I think they were the stronger team back in Season 1 on this map with their old roster. So, a very strong team on Himmelsdorf, a very strong team full stop on city maps. I think they're certainly the team in favour right now. Odem Mortis, they've got quite a few sneaky tactics. They're certainly good heavy tank players with guys like Threaten in the lineup and Devil, but against DeNova, we'll have to wait and see. But double T1 for both teams. Obviously, the 2 T1s just getting out of the way straight away because, we're going to get 5 tier 8 tanks apart from that. Double 5100 for both teams. Double IS3 for both teams. The last pick from Odem Mortis will be that AMX 5100, the tier 8 French heavy tank. So they're going for the 3 tier 8 French tanks, the autoloaders, as well as DeNova. So both teams going for the same exact lineup. I've always thought DeNova are the stronger team with their triple 5100 lineup. They've been guys who really pioneered that. I think season even before the WoT Pro League in Go 4s and such. I think they even picked up to 4 AMX 5100s.
Wow.
So they love that burst damage. They love that kind of ability just to shut down tanks in a matter of seconds. That tank does an almost unbelievable amount of damage.
Well, it's all about getting that initial momentum, that slow build into this game, and picking up a first map like Himmelsdorf is certainly the way to do it. And if you are an Odem Mortis fan, you really want them to break the back of DeNova early on. They're not unbeatable, but they are damn strong. So guys, let's get you that introduction video ready and lined up for Himmelsdorf.
Himmelsdorf is the city maps of city maps. It's a small one, being 600 by 600 meters. There are 3 routes of attack: the hill, the banana, and the train side. The middle area is relatively easy to push, however can end up in disaster as you can be flanked from every side. The road, often called banana, allows for direct head-on assaults but requires a lot of resources. Both the railroad area and the road next to it are good routes of attack, being very open and straight. However, for those very same reasons, you can be easily caught out and taken down. The map features many densely housed areas, which provides good places for engagements and routes of attack. Teams must be aware of the various routes their opponents can take through the map, as well as the hull-down positions enemies can take throughout the entire map. The trick with Himmelsdorf is to catch an enemy tank unsupported by his teammates and then use that advantage to collapse on the entire enemy team.
So welcome into the first map in the south. In blue, it's going to be DeNova, currently sitting in 3rd position this season and looking damn strong, facing off against Odem Mortis in the north in the gold and yellow. What are we seeing so far here?
So the standard start from DeNova, pretty much apart from the T1 and the AX51, are setting up the kind of slow way, the long way around towards that hill. The other tanks, pretty much standard. FC Dynamo towards the left. Bad news at International as well with the 2 IS3s and the MX5100s. But really going to be interesting to see how they use these tanks on the hill, if they can, but standard stuff from them. Odem Mortis also pretty defensive though. They're playing a pretty standard tactic, sending all tanks just back, make sure that they don't get caught out early by a strong push by DeNova. We've been seeing that 8-line push a lot. It's really become a popular tactic, sending a T1 up the hill to try and get their initial spot. Really aggressive T1 play actually. They're going to hopefully find this 250-100s and that T1 as it goes across. I think they could also guess without really too much hardness. So we'll have to wait and see if really Odem Mortis if their defensive tactic pays off for them. But Himmelsdorf from the north is always a little bit more defensive than Himmelsdorf from the south. It's a little bit harder to get into the initial positions, and once you're there, they're a little bit weaker.
Yeah, so, clearly Odem Mortis playing this one safely as they can. They don't want to give away anything too early on. Only that tier 1 really being spotted out first of all. And that's a minimal bit of information. Obviously, Ron and Ram having a little bit of an exchange there, just firing through. Not too much damage caused yet to Ram. He's going to be going on that early reload. But little does he know if there's any other tanks laying in wait. He's only managed to spot out 1 tier 1 so far. So it's a little bit of lacking information, but it's the best you can hope for at this point, because at a caliber DeNova player, they're not going to give away easy spots or anything like that. You've got to work for every single shred of information you're gathering. So certainly a cautious start from both sides, but Odem Mortis really enjoying that defensive posture, not going aggressive at all, leaving that into the hands of DeNova to execute. And I think it's a safe bit of play from them, considering DeNova are in that 3rd position spot. They've proven they're extremely diligent on this map. And we are just going to wait to see who's going to spot out who. You can see Ram's actually gone to more of a defensive posture here as well. He knows he's not in the best advantageous position to challenge flat out, but he has managed to spot out Phoenix, who is making his move across. So Ram is getting the hell out of there. Orders will be barked to the rest of his teammates, and they can just adjust accordingly. But with this much of a defensive kind of strategy, they don't really need to change too much, because they can't really be found on that hill, from that hill anyway.
Yeah, exactly. They're quite happy to sit backwards, and I think DeNova's main strategy right now is just to take the hill, and then you can see right in front of Ron, the team captain, that if you get in this little spot here, you can shoot up that line there, the D line. That's exactly what DeNova wants to do. They want to get the hill, see if they can catch any tier 8 tanks along there, do as much damage as they possibly can, which will give them a huge leg up when it comes to that firefight. But obviously, Odem Mortis playing defensively, know that tactic off by heart. I mean, if you get caught out by that tactic still, then you pretty much deserve what's coming to you. But DeNova, straight away on the rotate, they only spotted Thorus there, and sending pretty much all their tanks off that hill. You can see how quickly the tanks can rotate from the hill just because of that gravity thing that happens. Rest in peace.
Gravity thing.
Indeed, rest in peace. And Phoenix also, they're going to be the ones going forwards, I think. DeNova, always an aggressive team on Himmelsdorf. Looking towards that 1, 2, 3 line, and probably send the double 50-100s up here, or maybe an IS3 there as well, and then send the rest of their tanks just up alongside. But what they've got waiting is pretty much a firing squad from Odem Mortis.
Yeah, and you can just about see those turrets start to turn of Devil and DJ Red Deep as YR is being damaged up by Sharthak there. So that little tier 1 for Odem Mortis is getting the better. Phoenix has been spotted out as well. So these two know what's coming towards them now. They've got a rough idea of what DeNova are up to. We're not seeing any further rotates from the rest of the side, so they're not reading too much into this just yet. Playing it fairly cautiously, as we'd expect in such a defensive posture. But with 5 minutes and 40 seconds left, it's all on to DeNova to really make a move, because Odem Mortis are turtling down. They're playing it safe. We are seeing Uncro edging towards that kind of hillside. So maybe, you know, the spot that came out towards Phoenix will give them an idea that maybe that hill is free. But then again, Ron is still there, so eyes are not being missed just yet.
That was a nice little shot from Phoenix on the move as well. Red Deep getting completely caught out. He's down to 1-1, 1-3. He's got to be a little bit more careful, but he spotted out a couple of tanks. Phoenix does get tracked by him. And bad news, FC Dynamo just on the offensive right now. You can see DeNova how they take the initiative on Himmelsdorf. That's why they're such a strong team on this map. They don't care about sitting around. They know exactly what their strategy is. They know exactly what their strengths in their team is. And they've got such good heavy tank players, it isn't even funny. But Sharthak's in a perfect little position. He's just spotted them out. Bad news does take him down, but that's too expected. It's worth his weight in gold in terms of the information he has gathered for his team. And we're going to have to wait and see how Odem has managed to deal with this. They're actually playing quite a lot of the, I believe it was Speer where they camped down in the back of their base, waited for DeNova. It's really about just covering all the entrances, covering all the, you know, dotting all the T's, crossing, no, what?
Crossing all the I's. We're going to go
crossing
for it.
all the I's, dotting all the T's.
That's the new way of doing it.
Yeah, I'm going to go for that one. That sounds more. That sounds better. My English is not very good. But FC Dynamo has also taken one. He's down to 1-3-1-5 in his 5100, but that's from some T1 damage. You can see that 20mm Hispano can just rip through the side of that French tank.
Yeah, and Odem Mortis really into that defensive posture there. Every single tank now playing literally at the A line. No one going forward, excluding that tier 1 on the hill. But right now, Devil, DJ Red Deep, Threaten, and I believe it's Uncro and Thoris just holding it down now. All turrets facing towards that sort of one line where they knew they spotted out a good couple of members of the DeNova side who are still around that sort of area. So Odem Mortis are playing this right, but there's a lot of movement for a flank here if they decided to go on it. They may get a little bit of an easier route through until this started to happen. Yeah,
they are really just trying to find a way in at this point, DeNova. You know, they're very happy to be really dynamic in their movements and just constantly find and probe their way through this map. And at the moment, Odem Mortis haven't tried to catch them on any sort of maneuver. You know, if they push now, they would really catch the back of DeNova and do some serious damage. But they don't want to take that risk. They don't want to really run into even 150-100 sitting around the corner. Yeah. And that's why we've only got 3 minutes left on the clock and no real strong damage done. I think for Odem Mortis, they know exactly how strong DeNova is on this map. They want to just draw it out, get it out of the way, make sure that they're not throwing away a map, because it's often this first map that does dictate how the rest of the maps goes. You know, if you have this one in the bag, you get that momentum, you get that real sense of just urgency in your team, and you can easily just go on to win the next couple of maps. But DeNova know that. They know that for sure. They know they're the stronger team here, and they just want to get the win.
Yeah, indeed, and I've got to say, Ram's still doing the work there. He did manage to spot out a couple of members of DeNova down by that central area, so they know that there's something possibly approaching. Maybe DeNova are going to be adapting over towards that banana line, but right now, Odem Mortis are not moving a muscle. As you said, they'd rather draw this one out and focus possibly on the next couple of maps they feel they're stronger on than allow an early start to come in for the DeNova side. Threaten trying to get a shell towards YR, not going to connect that one. But DeNova certainly have their hands around this map now. They have that full control. Odem Mortis are literally playing from the baseline.
Yeah, this is certainly true. And we have to wait and see if really DeNova are going to make their push, if they're going to make their stand. Obviously, as we've been talking about, they are the stronger team here, and it does look like Ron is going to challenge. It doesn't even matter what he does. You know, they could push all tanks around there, catch him out, kill Ram. They'll be both tier 8, both T1s down. But you know, 1 minute and 34 seconds left on the clock. I would say DeNova can't win by capping anymore. They have to win by killing one tier 8 tank. That's the only way they can really look towards the victory, and indeed they are going to be pushing International first. Bad news behind Phoenix, behind him in suit as well. The 51s are going to come off the hill. They're going to try and find that exact T8 tank if they can. The IS3 is going to be taking the damage. The 51s are going to be dealing that damage. Perfect little maneuver from DeNova, but Odem Mortis has all their tanks in one position. They're all covering each other. They're already in every single direction. And honestly, DeNova are going to get punished as they push in.
Yeah, indeed. Odem Mortis are running away right now, but they're doing it in such a fashion, as you mentioned, they're still being safe. They're playing it smart. They're trying to draw this one out. They do not want to be challenging the top dogs in this situation. That tier 1 will come into effect. That is why our spotting out what Odem Mortis were doing. But with 40 seconds left, it's a limited amount of information now. Thoris is going back actually through this way. They're actually going to be possibly re-challenging on the flag point. And as you said, there's not, oh my God, is there just, no, they're a second out. They actually can't get this cap in. But still, if Thoris goes down and one of these tanks fall, this could be really troublesome thoughts. And 22 seconds left. It does look like Odem Mortis are going to be challenging just a touch, but they're backing away as well. They're allowing Thoris to take the damage. 15 seconds on that board. They do not have the time for the cap. They're going to go for the kill. 13 seconds left on the cap. It's only 8 on the scoreboard. No one yet to drop down. This is so tense. One tank falling will give the opposition the victory here, but with 2 seconds left, I do believe we are going to be having a draw here for the very first map, and it's a smarter bit of idea there coming out. I think that, you know, Odem Mortis took the safe route. I think it's the correct choice on that map because DeNova, they're damn good. They are too damn good at that one, and I don't blame them at all. I think it's a little bit slower, but it's a smart choice. If they're playing for that long game, if they want to come back in on the other maps and play it slower, that's the way you want to be doing it. You cannot allow DeNova to get that early, you know, a bit of confidence building because you don't need to help them at all. Those guys, they can do it well enough themselves. So Himmelsdorf is negated. Let's almost imagine that didn't happen towards the scoreline because still everything can change in the next couple of maps. And the next map will be Prokhorovka, which you can't really get away with playing just purely defensive on. It doesn't really work. We've seen a lot of teams trying it and a lot of teams playing from the baseline as such, but it never really pays off to that sort of effect. So I'm curious to see what Odem Mortis have for this one. They've really come up with some interesting tactics on this map before that we've seen. Some that didn't work, some that did. I think they were the first ones to try an IS3 on here in the EU League, so it's a little bit of a questionable one, but still, I'm looking to see what they can bring. They are just having a little bit of an invite to bring Magus, I do believe. Yeah. It's a good choice, to be fair. He's the sensible head on the shoulders of this team, really. You could say that. But is this going to be the map where they can turn it? Can they have a chance against DeNova here?
I don't think DeNova are the strongest strongest team on Prokhorovka. I think Odem Mortis have been extremely strong on this map. They've beaten the likes of Team Dignitas and WoT Pro here, so they certainly have a lot of things going for them on paper. Yeah. And DeNova, they've always been a little bit questionable on Prokhorovka. Even steps they've struggled on. So any of those kind of open maps, they really find their feet on your Ensks, your Rurenbergs, your Himmelsdorfs. And now with Himmelsdorf out the equation, this is where Odem Mortis can get themselves into this best of 5 or best of 3, depends if you win all 3 maps. But that's just impossible now. So I think this is going to be a good chance for Odem Mortis, but you know, if DeNova can just, you know, kind of keep themselves together and make sure they don't lose sight of the bigger picture, which often they do on the open maps, then they could do very well against Odem Mortis. Find that AMX 3090 or just the weakest tank Odem Mortis picks, which probably will be that tier 8 French light tank, and just take him down and get that tier 8 point lead. That's exactly what they need to do.
Well, let's find out. The tank picks are beginning, so let's hop into that one and have a little look to see what they're going for. I think we've got the tier 1s out of the way for at least Odem Mortis, but outside of that, what are we seeing?
We're seeing an MX 3090 and a T1 for DeNova, a T69 and a T1 for the side of DeNova, and a double T1 for Odem Mortis. So both teams just getting a couple of the T1s out, as you said. OM now going for double AMX 3090. So for Odem Mortis, double T1, double AMX 3090 for DeNova, and AMX 3090 T69 double T1. First interesting pick coming out of DeNova, it's going to be the 461. That tier 8 Russian tank, new to the game, and obviously 8.8. So I think it's going to be all right tank. I mean, teams have been shying away from it, especially the Russian teams, but it's been a pretty strong pick altogether, especially on Prokhorovka. Not so much of steps. Well, I don't know. It's 50-50.
We haven't seen it really being that defining tank.
I mean, on steps it can be a little bit better as long as it doesn't look towards that trench because it's a little bit more open. But on Prokhorovka, if you can get the sniping shots off, which often happens on this map, then it can be extremely strong. The 416 coming out for Odem and the double T69 for Odem. So they're just going for the double MX1390, 416, double T69, double T1. Last pick from DeNova is going to be the Pershing. Last pick from is going to be an AMX1390. So both teams are a really similar lineup, both very strong. For OM, you've got those double AMX1390, double T69, double T1, and the 416. So you've got a nice little balance between the real alpha of that 416 and the real burst from the T69, and just that amazing, speedy, versatile AMX1390, just to kind of all balance it all out. And for DeNova, you've got a little bit more of a healthy lineup. You've got the Pershing. It's got more HP than any other tank here. You've got the 416 for the damage, the double MX1390, and one T69 just for that burst. And obviously the double T1s as well.
Now, you said this is a chance for Odem Mortis to turn it around. This is their map if they can do it. What sort of tactics do you think they might go for here? Do you think we're going to see that village play, or what sort of read can you get with the tank choices they made?
I think for Odem, you can't really read that much of their tank choices, just because they've basically just said, okay, how can we kind of cover as many bases as we can and make sure we've just got the strongest possible lineup?
Well, let's find out, because the teams are ready. Let's get the video rolling for Prokhorovka.
Prokhorovka, a large map at 1,000 by 1,000 meters, which allows teams to stretch their legs and artillery to test their skills. There are 3 primary routes of attack: over the left tree road, the middle area, and towards the town. The tree road is very open and flat, but has a very large number of bushes and trees that provide good cover if you're not shooting. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen, as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. Both teams are fairly symmetrical and only offer small hills and bushes as cover. The middle area is where the initial engagements happen, as teams gather as much information as they possibly can. The railroad that splits the map has a large number of bushes running alongside it that provides good cover, and the occasional route of attack in the village and hill area. Teams should look towards taking fast tanks and artillery as they complement each other on this expansive map.
So welcome into the second map. As Joe said, it's going to be Prokhorovka, and in the south, in the gold and yellow, it's Odem Mortis facing off against the rather northern, rather blue DeNova. What are we seeing so far?
So Odem Mortis doing classic Odem Mortis tactic, pushing all their tanks over towards that left tree road instead of what most teams do, either go out the middle or go towards the village. But that's to be expected from OM. As I said, you're going to be getting those T69s in the best possible position as early as possible. Try and do some damage. Use the MX1390, you can see there, to try and get those initial spots off. But the same has really come out from DeNova. They've sent tanks over towards that tree road, but from the north, that's to be expected. Phoenix is trying to be getting the higher ground in this 416, as it is such a good sniper. So he's just got to be there to hit the shells. They've really put the best sniper in their team in the best tank for it. So bad news going forwards, as well as FC Dynamo. He's just going to be ready to do as much damage as possible. The Pershing, just because of its mantlet on that turret, it can absorb a lot of damage, more than the T69. The T69, okay, it's got a bit of slope on the turret, but it doesn't have that absorption ability of a mantle in World of Tanks. So quite a tentative start from both teams. None of that real initial damage. Both teams are not going to go for the kind of insane brawl at the beginning. We've seen a lot from the last 3 or 4 match days. Instead, just opting to try and get a little bit of information, get yourselves into a good, sensible position, and then play it out.
Yeah, and looking at, obviously, the Odem Mortis side, Thoros, Threaten, and Devil all playing really passively in those 1390s, laying pretty damn far back. Only the 2 T69s going anywhere near the opposition, and they're playing it safe, behind it, using that deflated hill just in front of them to keep themselves safe. And with such a great, bit of versatility with that T69, they can play it so well. And this is going to be one of those games they're playing it safely. But I feel as though Odem Mortis really are playing a defensive game, and I'm not sure if it really suits them anymore. I don't know why, but I feel as though they play so much better when they play a little bit more aggressive, or they, take a little bit more initiative. We don't see them doing it that much at the moment for some reason. It seemed to have fallen out of favor, but at the start of the season, they were really, stepping up their game, really challenging, and right now, they're just sitting back, and it's going to be Magus to catch a glimpse of Ron there. You can see one shot coming out from the 1390s, but it's actually threatened to eventually take him down. We are seeing a bit of an even exchange. Magus dropped, Ron dropped. I believe that's both captains actually now with full control over their team, so you're going to get those real orders coming out.
Yeah, it's a good thing for both teams when you lose your captains. I mean, a lot of people ask us why these T1s are being used, and one of the great things about having 42 points instead of, let's say, 40 or 56 is just because you can have your team captain in a tank where he doesn't have to concentrate 100% on what he's doing. He can lead his team from the front. He can just have a good overview of what's going on in the battle. But that was a one-for-one exchange, Magus and Ron going down, as you said. But both teams got a good, decent amount of information just because Thoros was spotted up on that hill, and also a tier 8 tank killed Magus. So both teams know that pretty much for sure that they're both sitting on either side of the tree road. And that's why DeNova are kind of on the rotate. YR's going first to try and get the initial information. Rest in peace behind in his AMX 1390. He's just going to be trying to spot out. Just come out on a limb. That's what's really nice about this tank. It's got enough speed just to get out of tricky situations. It's got the great F3 gun and 1,440 damage, so it can really take down a T69, which will only be able to do about 960 damage when it hits all 4 shells. And that's with heat ammo, which can be extremely unreliable, especially when it hits stuff like tracks, which act now as spaced armor since 8.7, I believe, or 8.6. But International's also joined the party. Just going to be sniping up here. I think at this point in time, DeNova just trying to cover as much ground as they can, get map control, which is extremely important in this game, and then really just play it out. But Uncro's going to get spotted by Odem Mortis in the middle, and it's a good position for them. I would say DeNova, like on Himmelsdorf, they're playing more aggressively. They're willing to try new things out, and for that, I would give them the win.
I tend to agree with you there. I'm waiting to see this kind of crumble a little bit. As you said, they're giving, well, you know, Odem Mortis are literally keeping 1/4 at most of this map in their hands. The rest, they're playing extremely passively. They're trying, you know, catch maybe DeNova out somewhere, but right now it seems a little bit of an all-in for one bit of counterplay, but they are pinging out towards that central area, which I do believe they will be able to locate a couple of players if they do go for it, but you know, Odem Mortis, I'm waiting to see a little bit more from them. I want to see aggression. I want to see that execution coming into effect, because right now they're not being proactive, they're being reactive, and it does get a little bit, you know, all eyes on the opposition. If, you know, DeNova execute perfectly, no matter what Odem Mortis can do, obviously the advantage will always be with DeNova, because they'll have, you know, what they want in mind, they'll know what they want to get out of it, and Odem Mortis will just be left to hopefully find a reply. And at the moment, there's not much going through, except for that nice bit of connection coming through from Thoros there in that 1390, which did, you know, at least hit 1 shell. So with 4 minutes and 23 seconds left, I'm really surprised that we haven't seen a move from DeNova yet.
They're trying. They're just making sure that there's no cheeky tank in any position, because it's a tactic they play themselves, just putting one tank out on a limb and then pushing from the other side and kind of sandwiching the other team, and it's just really good. I love that pincer movement. It's something that's really been pioneered by DeNova, in my opinion. But as you said, first shell connection has come into favor for Odem Mortis. You can see it's been penetrated by APCR, just judging by the hole. It doesn't look the same as heat. So a good start for Odem, although a very defensive start. And honestly, I think with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left, I'm not quite sure what their kind of strategy going into this best of 5 is. Do they want to get that 1 point, knowing that they are in that top 6 position and hoping that the other teams on 20 points will either lose or draw? Or are they just going to go for the win by camping? And I think the latter is being proven time and time again is no longer viable in World of Tanks now. We have such fast lineups. Perhaps back in the day when we were using stuff like T32s all around, and you know, in conjunctions with stuff like Pershings, even with artillery in there. It was a slightly easier thing to do, but you can see now DeNova on the rotate. International going forwards as AMX 1390 to the left. Rest in peace and YR are going to be joining in, and you've got this kind of sandwich from DeNova, the real classic start. Devil does take down YR though, and that's going to be another good strike for OM. Both T1s out, although not that important on Prokhorovka, just because it's a bit easy to snipe down a T1 sitting in a cap. Still an important kill for OM.
Yeah, indeed. Odem Mortis doing their work from the distance. International has been spotted out now. Uncro and DJ Red Deep getting a little bit nervous. You can see them edging away from that normal position, making sure that that's being watched. Thoros is keeping eyes on from afar, waiting to smash it down if anyone dared to peer across. And There it goes. So International disappearing off the face of the earth for Odem Mortis, but still, OM are now truly roped into a corner. But with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left, would you, as DeNova, take a risk to execute now?
I think so. I mean, if you find one tier 8 tank and you just collapse on it, there's absolutely no way Odem Mortis can react. We've seen actually before from playing this tactic, and it simply didn't work. They had the 2 tier 8 tanks here. The other team just collapsed on, managed to take down those 2 tier 8 tanks. It actually ended up being in a draw. And I think DeNova are going to go in because they're going to find their 2 T69s in the middle. It's going to be Uncro and Dr. Red Deep. But Rest in Peace is actually going for it.
Oh, this is fantastic play from DeNova. They are folding in towards Odem Mortis right now. DJ Red Deep and Uncro are just completely taken away from their team. They are just so far away from everyone else, and it doesn't matter. Those 1390s were covering them because DeNova are finding them one by one. Uncro is now on his own. The fire is coming through. Bad News is tagged down fairly low. He's on 4-8-3. Thoris has got his work cut out for him now, as has Devil. But right now, it's not looking good for Odem Mortis. If they keep taking the damage like they are, they're going to be on the back foot so drastically, and DeNova have not overextended. They've played it smart. They've done the damage. They've backed away. They did not overstay their welcome there.
Yeah, but if Odem Mortis just collapse onto any side of DeNova's defense right now, they will absolutely decimate them, because look at this. International 348, Phoenix 754, Rest in Peace a one-shot on 177, and FC Dynamo not doing too well himself. So all Odem Mortis have to do is find another weak spot, but Uncro's gone out.
Yeah, Uncro is now going solo, 154. He's going to back away, try and find cover. Thoris is coming around the side. He's got FC Dynamo and Bad News in front of him. Dynamo has taken down Uncro. They've got to even the score, 33 seconds left. It's got to happen right now. Threaten, moving in towards Rest in Peace. This is going blow for blow right now. Thoris now has the attention turned towards him, but Thoris has done the damage. That's FC Dynamo down and out, but can they hold on? Those 3 1390s need to do work, but Devil's down low. 30 HP is all he has beside him. One more shell will do it, but look at this. It's a brilliant exchange. There's 10 seconds left, and it's only Thoris standing. He took down Bad News, but Phoenix was there already. He took down his teammates, and with 3 seconds left, it's all DeNova. They somehow held on for that amount of time. It was a second's worth, but they did it eventually.
That was a good little start from DeNova, and honestly, I think that was just player skill area from Odem Mortis' part, because
it really was.
They could have won that one.
The HP was so in their favor.
Yeah, and like the biggest problem for them was you could see Uncro and the other T69 in the middle. They went forwards, and the MX-1390s went forward to try and chase down DeNova. But then the thing is, Saurus in his MX-1390, he was way too late. He came up from behind trying to take down the Pershing in the T69, and he bounced, or he didn't bounce, he hit the side of the tracks of the T69 about 3 times. So about 10 seconds wasted right there. He should have been down in 2 shots and out of the equation. Then he could move on to the Pershing, take him down. And it was just a really big mess from him. He messed up horribly. But if they just executed that push across the hill and sent Thoris from behind at the same time, or even just sent Thoris from behind beforehand, made sure those 2 guys were, distracted, and then come from the front with the MX-1390s and Uncro, then it would have been an absolute devastation for DeNova. But just poor communication for altogether, not getting every single part of their strategy worked out, even though it was a good strategy. And it just shows that, execution is everything.
It really is. And as you said, the thing that got me is the fact that Thoris was in the perfect position. He'd played it well if he'd played it a little bit better to the timing, a little bit better to the execution. As you mentioned, coming around from the side there was perfect, but as you mentioned, just didn't do that final bit of damage that they desperately needed, because they got them so low so early on. Even though they were playing as the passive team, they still did the work, but just tumbled at that last final hurdle. So the next map will be Ensk, which is more of your Himmelsdorf type maps, but we didn't really get a good feel of that, I kind of keep in mind, because of how defensively Odem Mortis were playing it, and that does seem to be their kind of tactic for this game. Try and make DeNova make the move, but as you just found out, it doesn't really work when you play passively, because then you come down to be the reactive team, and sometimes it doesn't matter how good you are, that one player not on point can cost you the final bit of execution. So it's going to be a hard one, but let's get ready for those tank picks, because they are beginning here. So you know, what do you think we're going to see on this map? It's normally fairly normal, but we are seeing a couple of new tanks creeping in now and then.
Yeah, we're going to see a similar lineup to Himmelsdorf with the 5100s and the IS-3s, but the 110s creeping in sometimes, the T-69 even. In the American region, we see the AMX 3090 sometimes also creep into these lineups. But to start us off with the double T1 from both teams, double 5100 from both teams, and the double IS-3. So the same start as we saw on Himmelsdorf, but OM going for the triple 5100, double IS-3, double T1, same as Himmelsdorf. And have to wait and see if DeNova are going to go for that. They have picked the 416 in the past on this map. They've also been testing out the Pershing here, so it'll be interesting to see if they're going to pick that tier 8 tank or not. But honestly, I think, you know, with 5100 in an IS-3, it's slightly better. You know, you want that alpha damage from the BL9 122mm, just because on a city map, if you're peeking around, you have one shot to make all the difference, and you want that one shot to do as much damage as possible. 390 is a lot more than 300 from the 5100. But DeNova going for the triple IS-3, double 5100, double T1. So the only difference between these two teams is that OM have gone for the extra 5100, whilst DeNova have gone for the extra IS-3.
So it's pretty much what we see on Himmelsdorf as well. It's that choice of what do you prefer, and, well, we'll see how that one pays off. Do you think we're going to see another defensive Odem Mortis?
I think it's possible. I mean, it's been a trend for them throughout, and so far it hasn't worked. So I'm hoping that they actually push in and maybe make something of themselves. You know, make some good tactics. But we have to see.
Yeah, we are indeed going to find out in just a moment, because the third map is now lined up. The teams have made their choices. They're just talking through those final strategies to get themselves prepared for this one. Are Odem Mortis going to be defensive? Are DeNova going to go and play just the same game, or is it going to be an aggressive game here? So let's get that video lined up just to give you an idea of what we might normally see on Ensk.
Ensk is a simple map on the face of it, but requires the most skillful team play to play properly. Being such a small map at 600 by 600 meters, the areas of attack are confined to through the city, through the railroads, or through the green zone. The fearsome city side, often famed for its fierce firefights, the railroads and green zone areas are hard to play as they have many death alleys. The railroads provide little cover but good sniping locations. Tanks can shoot over and navigate through the trains to ambush and weaken the opposition. When playing Ensk, always keep in mind that teams may try and rush for the cap and not go for the city brawl. Also, take tanks that can both deal a lot of damage and react quickly to situations.
So, welcome into the third map here. We are currently seeing the fact that DeNova are up one map. So, in the north, in the gold and yellow, it's Odem Mortis with a hell of a lot to prove, facing off against the blue, the southern DeNova. What are we seeing so far here? Well,
DeNova going over towards that right track side, looking towards the green zone like we've seen from many teams before now. I mean, it's quite strange, really. I have to really ask those team captains why the city has become less appealing, especially from the south. I think it's just more towards, you know, looking towards the cap and getting those straight line shots off. Well, Odem Mortis gone up north. They've gone into the city with pretty much all their tanks. So quite an unusual start, I guess, because Odem Mortis, they've played that really far back to top third of the map tactic before many times, where they just defend up and hope that the other team makes some mistake and just goes into their line of sight. But they're instead going for the city push, maybe because they know DeNova are a team that goes towards the green zone a little bit more. And you can see how aggressive and wanting DeNova are for this win now. Taking a map to the good on Prokhorovka. Obviously, Himmelsdorf was a draw, but bad news in International going further forwards. You can see how the IS-3 has changed and looks more like the 110 than ever before. And also that IS-6, it looks very similar to that tank. But they're starting to creep towards the cap. They know exactly what Odem Mortis are doing. This is one of the strengths of DeNova, though. They watch those replays. They watch those recaps. They watch everything. They get every bit of information they can just to counter the other team.
Yeah, and Odem Mortis once again are being the team who have to deal with the threat of DeNova here. If they make that final push, only Uncro is really in a position at the moment to deal with it, and he's backing away as well. That cap point is now ticking down. 46 seconds, and it's game over and game into the hands of DeNova. But Odem Mortis are looking like they want to make their counter. They're all making their way back here. Bad News has been spotted, but I believe Uncro has as well. So it's going to be a close one here with 18 seconds. DeNova are not stopping this. They're going to merely apply more pressure and make Odem Mortis show themselves. They want the aggressive game. There's that first shot connecting. International will connect towards Threaten. 8 seconds remain. There's no reply yet. This is going to DeNova. There's the final shot coming in. That's Bad News having to be resetting that time limit, but it's going right to the wire here. There we go. Stunning shot coming in from DJ Red Deep, connecting onto International. Bit of luck, but still, it's what exactly they need. There's the follow from Devil. That 5100 obliterating everything in its path. Thoris coming onto Bad News. The cap point is completely and utterly void of DeNova life right now. It's only Rest in Peace and Phoenix are really in this battle right now, and they're being absolutely punished by Odem Mortis. Thoris continues the pain. He's taken down Rest in Peace. Phoenix finds the reply onto a tier 1, but it's too little too late, as only 2 tanks stand for DeNova, and Threaten is hot on their heels. Threaten challenging down Phoenix immediately. He's got a lacking HP here, so he's going to be challenging in a little bit of a disadvantageous position, but still, he's not holding back. He's got the numbers beside him, but you do not want to be taking this lightly, because bear in mind, FC Dynamo's on a good chunk of health here as well. He's going head to head in this very second. Thoris is backing him up, trying to find that perfect angle to take down that I3, but they're having no luck. Those connections are not working out, and Odem Mortis are feeling the pressure, as Phoenix will find Thoris. Now bring it back to pretty much a 3v2 if you take into account there's a tier 1 left as well, but Phoenix is low. He's got Devil to deal with. He's got Threaten beside him, and he's taken down. Threaten's going to land the shell they needed, as now just FC Dynamo stands.
Some appalling 1 versus 1 play by Odem Mortis, that's to say the very least. What the hell was Threaten doing then? Bouncing at least 2 or 3 shells onto that Phoenix, and that's that really good player skill coming from DeNova, knowing exactly how to play their tank. And I would be worried if I was at Odem Mortis, because if they had 1 more tank, if it was a 4 versus 3, I would think DeNova could get back into this game. But once again, you know, you have to get that execution down, and DeNova are learning it the hard way that even with a good tactic like that, good initiative, if the other team has a perfect counter towards it, which OM did, just destroying those walls with the T1s, finding one of their tanks, the IS-3, surrounding it, blowing it completely out of the equation, then coming from every single side, splitting up the focus from the other team. And now it's a 1 versus 1. FC Dynamo versus Ram. He's going to try and come around. Obviously, it's a tier 1 tank, but Uncro and Threaten just going to be there to finish it off. Uncro's probably going to go for the Ram, and that's going to be game over. 1-1 towards these 2 teams.
Yeah, Odem Mortis there really needed that one as well. It's the first time we've seen that passive play actually paying off for them. They kind of, allowed DeNova in there, and they just, really worked that cap very well. But still, that clock got fairly low. That was down to, about 6 seconds, and thank God there was a couple of shells coming in from them, because I still wouldn't be surprised with that. As you said, the 1v1 skill then was not that good from Odem Mortis in the nicest way. They were really struggling to take down that IS-3 then, and still, if there was 1 more tank remaining, that could have gone a completely different way in that situation. It was very, very close here. So we are all back, all even at 1-1 now. And I find it very hard to read into that one, because I feel as though Odem Mortis, not lucky. They dealt with the initial threat extremely well, but from then on, the focus fire was nowhere near as clinical as we've seen from DeNova before.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of problems, and honestly, you could just see the problems even if you're a beginner to World of Tanks. Yep. For instance, when Threat went up against the other IS-3 Phoenix, you don't go for the lower hull on the IS-3 because of the way it's angled. You go for the upper hull, especially with the changes to the IS-3 now. The drivers hatch bigger. It's a lot easier to penetrate, even with something like a T69 with heat ammo. Don't go for the lower hull. Like in World of Tanks, as a general rule, always go for the lower hull if you're going 1 versus 1 from the front, because it's almost always the weak point, apart from, let's say, if you're shooting a super Pershing or something like that. But in the case of the IS-3, don't go for it. Go for the upper glaciers, as it's the weakest spot. But we can jump into our next map, which will be Abbey. We haven't seen it for a while, so it's good to see that one being brought back in here. We've seen Mines quite a few times. This is the 5th map. But double T1 for both DeNova and OM, a T69 and AMX 3090 for the side of DeNova, double T69 for OM. So I think we might see something like a 5100 or 416, but it's kind of creeping back to those old lineups a little bit.
It is, and I'm not against that. I've always enjoyed Abbey. I think it's one of the better maps. I know that a lot of the other regions will disagree with me, but still, I've thoroughly enjoyed this one. I like the tank choices. I like the variation. We are seeing that 5100 as you predicted for DeNova. Is it going to be mirrored though?
I think it probably will do, or maybe even a Pershing, although it's a little bit slow. But yeah, MX-3090 T69 for DeNova, double MX-3090 for OM. As you said, last pick from DeNova, 5100, as it will be for the side of OM as well. So for OM, double MX-3090, double T69, MX-5100, double T1. And for the side of DeNova, we got a double MX-3090, double T69, MX-5100, double T1. So a mirrored lineup.
Yeah, indeed. So it's gonna, we're gonna find out who's gonna really get the edge in this game. So let's get that video rolling for that introduction towards Abby.
Welcome to Abbey, a hard but gratifying map to master. Abbey is 1,000 by 1,000 meters and has 3 main routes of attack. The left mountainous area, through the Abbey in the middle, or in the trench to the right. The housed Abbey area in the middle, the winding trench road, and the treacherous mountainous area. The Abbey area can be moved upon on a central road. Often the two teams battle it out for the higher ground. The mountainous area often sees intense action as it overlooks the Abbey and provides key access to the enemy's base. The base area can also be accessed via the trench and is a common route of attack. It is essential to defend your base. Teams must pay close attention to their tank setups and in particular how they utilize them to greatest effects on what is a very complicated map.
So, welcome into the 4th map. It will be Abbey, as Joe said. And in the south, we are seeing Odem, Mortis getting off to their curious start. And in the north, it's going to be DeNova. So, what are we seeing from these guys?
From DeNova, we've got what they're very good at, just a strong presence of many tanks. They're going all the way up towards that mountain area with pretty much every single bit of their damage. Only ones who are really out on the limb is the T1s sitting back to protect and spot the base, and Ron going forwards into the middle to spot that area. For Odem, it's an unusual start, as you said. They've got a couple of tanks going forwards, the MX-3090s, although that's pretty standard. And then all the rest of them are just sitting either back in their base, the T1 towards the left, and the 5100 there just to provide that overview of damage with its great SA-47 sniper gun of doom. If anyone who's played 1 versus 1 against that tank knows. But DeNova, I think what they've done is smart, just because they're a team that plays that focus fire, that protecting their heavy tanks. They really know how to spread the damage out on their team. We saw that in Prokhorovka. We saw that in Himmelsdorf, where there wasn't really an engagement there, but just the way they kind of lined and had a real structure and formation to the way they played their tanks. But SD Dynamo, he's obviously the one going forwards. He's in the MX-3090. The gun depression of this tank is pretty damn bad, threatening taking out Ron. So team captain down for DeNova. Advantage into the side of Odem.
Yeah, and Thoris and Threaten trying to clear out that 8 line, just make sure there's no one waiting. Those 3090s will be splitting up. The T69s are making their way through the village as well. Let's keep that in mind. DJ Red Deep and Uncro both heading across as well.
But we've got creep forwards from DeNova. I think they're going to find the T1 over here. He's got to reverse as quickly as he spots out. Although YR's just spotted out the MX-3090 from Thoris. Thoris doesn't manage to get the shot. I tell a lie, he does. He just clips the side
just to prove you wrong.
Yeah, he just clips the turret of that T1. Pretty beautiful little shot from there, especially considering the 8 down time and the accuracy of the MX-3090 is not particularly good, to say the very least.
Yeah, so at the moment, it's all in the hands of Odem Mortis. The tier 1s have been obliterated from DeNova. They've lost their vision, they've lost their almost feelers towards this map, so they're going to have to play this one a little bit more carefully. And as you can see, it's almost contrasting here. Completely polar sides of the map. But still, those 1390s happy to fly up and down and get complete control of that A line in case anyone rotated over. And that 5100 still just going to be sitting back, playing it smart, being the sniper role in case anyone gets towards their flag. And it's just a really well executed start from Odem Mortis, even though it's fairly passive.
Yeah, I mean, they're looking like the team that's kind of trying something a little bit out the box, while DeNova are going for a standard tactic. And really the only weakness is that 5100 on its own. It's such a big tank, has almost no camo value, even with that new dynamic camo war game introduced, which gives you 5% camo. And obviously the probably 100% camo crew these guys have, since they are playing on tournament accounts, which have all the crew skills unlocked, which is pretty insane. Ram does get spotted out by DeNova, by FC Dynamo indeed, because he's sitting behind his bushes, probably providing about 30 to 40% cover. He's not going to get spotted unless he shoots. Obviously, shooting just completely removes all the cover within 15 yards for your tank. But bad news is going to be on the rotate, just trying to come up behind the T1. His gun depression as T69 will allow him to do that shot. But they didn't really have any kind of clue of what's in the base, although Devil did just get spotted there. So, in my opinion, it's going to be 1 tier 8 tank down Ram for the side of Odem, but 2 down for DeNova. They'd still be in the lead.
Yeah, but look at this. He's somehow staying alive. He avoided 2 shells from Phoenix. That one, however, from SC Dynamo will connect. But there's the reply. Those T69s are powering him down. He's down to 617 HP. That's not a bad exchange there.
That's a very good exchange. FC Dynamo just wanted that frag, I think. He's like, okay, my team's failed, so we just want to make the damage. And that was perfect thinking by Odem Mortis. They were ready for that. And FC Dynamo now a few hundred HP for the worst. And if it comes to that firefight, that's going to help Odem Mortis for sure. But it's Abbey, so that firefight often involves 1 or 2 tanks. It's not really like a cluster like on Himmelsdorf or Ruhenberg. It's more about that individual player skill and positioning, which is really important.
Yeah, but look at these T69s. They're getting aggressive. They've almost given up the central Abbey position, going round the back. And if they actually get into this section being fairly unspotted, they're in a fantastic place here. So this could be a beautiful play coming out from Uncro and DJ Red Deep. If they somehow pull this off, which they're looking like they're trying to, they could be in the perfect place to take down at least 2 tanks here if they catch them off guard.
Exactly. If they come up from behind and focus down Phoenix and bad news, obviously 2 T69s versus 2, you won't be able to cancel each other out. One of you can die potentially. Heat ammo is a very unreliable ammo these days. It's been nerfed down to 250 from 300, so it's always a tricky tank to play. I would say now probably on par with the MX-3090, at least with the MX-3090. Okay, you've only got 244 penetration, but you're using APCR, which can still go through tracks like butter and do some damage, while Heat will just kind of disperse on there, just because it's a jet of hot metal as opposed to just a penetrating rod. So Phoenix is looking over towards the base. He's trying to get some spots out. And we've got the MX-3090 FC Dynamo, probably a little bit more tentative, not quite as brave as he was earlier, just because he did get penetrated down. 4 minutes left on the clock, though. I would say Odem Mortis definitely in the advantage, a bit of HP to their goods.
Yep.
Also 1 tier 8 tank down for the better as well. They've got 2 for 1. So maybe looking towards that cap.
Yeah, and I'm curious what they're doing here, because I believe the DeNova will assume they're in a defensive posture again, which they're looking like they're going towards. But Thoris now joining those T69s back by that central Abbey reservation. He could really cause a bit of trouble here. If he can get to the right place and actually uncover those tanks that were in that position, they could be getting themselves into a great sort of advantageous area. But they've also, completely moved up, excluding that one big tank sitting all the way back, which is Devil, who's holding the baseline. He's in a perfect position as well. I've got to keep it in mind. But they're very much split apart here. It's a bit of an all-in, and it's a bit of an assumption. But now they've actually managed to spot out bad news. This is where they're going to find out if they can really unfold here and actually take down the opposition, because they're still they haven't been spotted. And this is an incredible play. Yeah,
but DeNova are straight away can see the kind of weakness that Odem has, and that's their base. They can get capped here, but the MX-100 on its own can easily solo an MX-3090. But DeNova have the MX-3090 on the hill. They have the 5100 and the MX-3090, so that's 3 against 1. Even with the element of surprise, it's still a hard job for the MX-100 of Devil.
Yeah, and look at this. Devil now lays in wait. He's connected the first shot to National. Will back away. The clock is still ticking, but it's in favor to Odem Mortis as their tier 1 is in place. But he's being hunted down right now, and we are seeing that Abbey push begin. This is going blow for blow right now, but at the moment, I believe it's Uncro coming out of the better. They're taking down bad news. DJ Red Deep and Uncro going back in for more. Phoenix now being focused down by 3 tanks. He's got no hope in hell of getting out of this one, unless luck is on his side, and it certainly isn't. With 64 HP left, Thoris will take him down, and this is where Odem Mortis are fantastic. That focus fire was what they needed, on the last map, maybe a little bit more, but still, that's exactly where they wanted to play that one out. And right now, Devil's dancing with International, but you can see right there, rest in peace, facing down 2 tanks as well. Every single battle at the moment is going in favor to Odem Mortis.
Jaw-dropping play from Odem Mortis, absolutely incredible. Saw the weakness, the 2 C69s in the middle, collapsed on it, perfect. They saw International getting spotted out by the 5100. He got 1 shot off, made sure International was tracked out of the equation, couldn't cap. put the pressure of Sharthak, their one remaining T1, in the side of DeNova's cap, put that extra element of pressure, and that's where it's really going to count.
Yeah, and look at Rest in Peace. He's being melted down right now. Threatened and thrust, the TNT combo, just taking him down rather swiftly, may I say as well. With 20 seconds left on that cap, it's looking pretty much like Odem Mortis have just smashed the opponent as only FC Dynamo stands, and he's not sitting too pretty with only 12 seconds to stop this, although he should be able to reset that cap unless he misses these shots.
I don't think he will. He's a pretty damn good sniper. 5:66 left on this AMX 1390, 1 minute and 5 seconds left to go. He's just going to be trying to run. He does get spotted out by Dr. Reed Deep, and he's going to connect the shell. Great sniper from him. Uncro's got to be careful, though. Sitting on 125. Average damage from the F3, 240, so it's not a very big shot for him if he does make it. 50 seconds left, though.
Yeah, and look at that. The hunting squad is back out. Not happy with the one kill they picked up between them just moments ago. They're going back in for more, and I don't think they're going to be missing this one either. They look pretty much damn hungry. FC Dynamo's tucked into the corner, but it's going to be the firing squad of Odem Mortis to take them down. Threaten claims it, and Odem Mortis give themselves another point on the board. They have got themselves in the advantageous position. They've actually got a chance of beating DeNova here. They're currently sitting at 2-1. This is an unbelievable sight. None of us expected this. What is going on right now?
Well, just Odem Mortis on another level, completely on another level than
really
DeNova.
was.
DeNova just played the standard hill tactic, and they got outplayed, full stop. Odem Mortis knew exactly what they were going to do. They knew exactly what their weakness were. They had every single thing down to an absolute T. It was perfection of World of Tanks. It was a master class of World of Tanks on Abbey. And it's really impressive just because they did that, but when they did it on Abbey, a map which is so hard to play, it's got so many different routes of attack, so many different things you have to keep in your back of your mind and also the front of your mind. But they did it perfectly. They saw the T-69s in the middle, collapsed, destroyed them easily, the MX 1390 coming into its own against that tank. Sharthak in the base, providing that extra bit of pressure. He was only reset at the back end. That caused FC Dynamo to have to get himself out of the battle and back to base. So that's already one tier 8 tank down. 2 T-69s were also out of the equation, 3 tier 8 tanks down. And Devil had no trouble taking down International's AMX 1390. 4 tier 8 tanks down. No chance for DeNova from there on out.
And I do want to ask you a question. Let's look back at the first 2 maps, for example. It was extremely passive play coming out from Odem Mortis to an extreme level. Like, literally, they were turtling down. Now, then you look at Abbey and the one prior to that, they almost changed their complete game style there. It's gone from completely passive to a very smart, well-executed, well-oiled machine. Do you think they almost played DeNova into their hands in that aspect of playing passively, then picking up the pace to try and bring DeNova towards that kind of comfort zone of challenging them, and then actually executing extremely well?
Yeah, I mean, these buying games do come into the equation so often. It's honestly it's a game of chess, to be honest. With everything from tank picks down to map choices and just the way you play your maps, but. I think what Odem Mortis saw was that Himmelsdorf is a map they almost certainly can't beat DeNova on. Prokhorovka, certainly a very hard map for them as well, and they struggle on it without artillery. So I think that was a good tactic from the side of Odem Mortis. And the fact that DeNova just playing the standard stuff, it's no longer good enough on Abbey. It's not what you can really do anymore. You need to make sure that you kind of have every single tank joined. Well, DeNova certainly didn't. They didn't have line of sights on many tanks, so they couldn't support each other. They're kind of fragmented. So we're going to be moving on to our next map, Steps, and going off what the result we saw in Prokhorovka, this could be brought up to 2-all.
It really could be. It's it's going to be hard, but certainly if there's any team that can do it, it's going to be DeNova. But let's bear in mind the impact this game is going to have on the overall standings as well, because the fact is that if these guys pick this up, they get the advantage over the likes of Evil Panda Squad and Spale. And I don't think either of those two can challenge DeNova right now. And I'm going to put myself on the line and say that, even though they're a great set of teams, DeNova are fantastic at the moment. And this is really a display of what Odem Mortis can do. They are ready for those tank picks, so let's jump into that. But it's what you've got to bear in mind. If Odem Mortis pick this game up, they're in such a great position.
Yeah, I mean, it would be fantastic. 3 points if they do take this one, and 3-1 against DeNova would be unbelievable. But yeah, they've beaten Team Dignitas before. They drawed against Virtus Pro, so on paper, I guess, it's to be expected from a team like Odem Mortis. And they took 4th at Season 1 finals at DreamHack, so they are an extremely good team. A lot of roster changes, though. But yeah, as you said, tank picking has begun. Double T1 for OM. T1 AMX 1390 for DeNova, AMX 1390 T69 for OM. So just the standard picks here. Remember that DeNova is a team that likes to innovate. They like to try lots of new lineups. Doesn't always work for them. It's like a 60-40 in favor of it working though, so it's always worth a try. T69 Pershing for OM, 416 Pershing for DeNova. Last pick for an OM is that T32.
Now, I'm going to make you call it. Is it going to be a 3-1, or is it going to be a draw?
I think OM is going to go for it. They got nothing to lose. They can either, you know, draw it out if
which is 1 point.
Which is 1 point, or they can get the 3 points. So for me, Odem Mortis are going to go for this one.
Well, it's going to be hard for battle for DeNova there. They've got everything to play for. That's the point now. So, intense game. I can't believe it's boiled down to this point. I did not expect those last 2 maps to go in favor to Odem Mortis, but fair play to them. They've turned up when it mattered, so I cannot wait to see what they can bring on this final map, the one that could define it for them. It's going to be steps, and as you said, keeping in mind the last time they played on an open map, there's certainly a chance to take down DeNova here. If they get their execution a little bit better, you know, that 30% better maybe, they can actually take this one, and that would be the upset of today, I can only imagine. But anyway, guys, let's get that video lined up for steps.
Steps is the other open map in the map pool, being 1,000 by 1,000, having no urban areas. There are 3 primary routes of attack: the trench, the rocky area to the left, and the middle road. The road offers direct routes to the enemy's base, but despite having a staggering amount of cover along the way, you are vulnerable to attack from all sides. The trench area provides for great engagements as it's only a few hills and rocks to cover the teams. Most of the engagements occur around this rock, the winner of which gains a crucial foothold on the map. The rocky left area provides the most cover for attacking and defending teams. It's essential that you pick tanks that can traverse from one side of the map to the other rapidly. They also must be able to get to the various key locations as quickly as possible. That is the key to victory.
So, welcome into the final map here in the north in that golden yellow. It's going to be Odem Mortis currently with that map advantage and everything to do here. But facing off against DeNova, the top 3 team, can they hold on and draw this one out with the victory? Take us through what they're doing so far.
Well, DeNova heading up towards that trench side, rest in peace going forwards with the spots. He's got bad news on that Pershing behind, ready to do the damage, and International right there. So, a pretty standard start from DeNova. The 416 though, sitting a little bit further backwards. I would have thought he would be in with the action as well. But Odem Mortis looking towards the trench side. It's obviously a team that plays from the north, so you have to really go towards the trench side. Devil has taken one though. He's down to 1099. What's quite interesting, I guess, by just looking at the tank lineups, you see that OM has taken a T32 now. With you know, being a team that's now 2-1 up and we're on our final map, if they want to win it, I would have thought they would take an aggressive lineup. But the T32, it's a lot more defensive. But you know, then again, it's these mind games. DeNova can either have 0 points or 1 point at this point.
It really does just play into the hands of the opposition if they want to make them believe that. I really don't know how to, you know, even analyze what Odem Mortis are doing, because sometimes they really can just pull off, you know, this brilliant curveball play, and they've made some great connections early on. That Pershing in the hands of Uncro making, you know, the first shot there, doing the damage. Bad news once again appearing up on the radar, and right now it does seem as though the, you know, DeNova are edging up a little bit. They're looking to get a bit of a better position, but not going over aggressive just yet.
Yeah, that's because they got Thorin just looking at Thoris even, and he just punished International. Superb shot, 320 average damage from that T54 E1 gun, taking International down to 795. And to be honest, it's the F3 is really a pea shooter against the T32, especially it being hull down in that position. It's not really going to be able to do anything apart from tickle it maybe a little bit. But definitely with the advantage. The only tank who's really taking some damage is Devil right now in the T69, whilst Rest in Peace has taken one. He's down to 852. International's also taken one down to 795. So you can see straight away, DeNova know how much of a disadvantage they are. Well, about 10% disadvantage, I would say. They're going to be on the rotate with the MX-3090s, using that speed to its best ability. Just come from a different side. I think from the south, you should always head over towards the rock side first, the western side of the map. Try and take out as many T1s as you can, although you know they're not that important on steps.
Yep.
And then look towards that cap and look towards the foliage around the cap.
We'll see if that actually comes into play. Right now, only Bad News really holding Odem Mortis in place, because they are getting a little bit angsty over here. Thoris did push up a touch. Threaten still scouting around in that 1390, looking for a way in. Everyone else being quite passive, defensive, and we'll wait to see who's going to really break this one in half, because at the moment, Ooh, that was a close shell, actually. Thren just about avoiding that one. Smart play from him. But still, it's all down to DeNova in my eyes, really, to make a move out of this one.
Well, DeNova are certainly trying. They're probing forwards. SD Dynamo in front, Phoenix in the middle, and International taking up the rear. And they're going to be trying to get the sniping shots off in towards the trench side. Look towards those T1s as well. Try and get them out of the equation. Stop any extra dimension of pressure coming in. But the kind of tanks they've chosen, not particularly good hull down, so they're always going to struggle around these hills and rocks. But Ram's going to be there to spot him out. They're going to take him out straight away. And Odem are on the defensive.
Yeah, indeed. They're getting roped into this corner here, and they do like to come out swinging from these. So maybe not the worst thing in the world, because they do like their defensive play, as we've noted. But still, I wouldn't like to give DeNova the reins in this one. They've certainly taken it by taking down Ram. They've lost vision from the 1 to the 6 line now. They have no idea what's going on over there. They're completely embedded and entrenched from the 7 to the 0 section. Devil has received that shell. DJ Red Deep being quite passive. Sharthak took a little bit of a beating. But you can see that Odem Mortis are looking for a way in now. They're looking for that way through. Bad News is still going to be holding them in place, and he's not backing away anytime soon.
What Odem's trying to do is just find the remaining tanks of DeNova. They know that quite a lot of their firepower is over towards here. But how many tanks are left back? And if Odem can focus them down, take a tier 8 tank down, gets the 7-point advantage, now they lost the T1, and certainly the HP and firepower advantage, then they'll certainly be in for good. But Thoros has gone out on a little bit. If DeNova can kind of spot that weakness, come around onto him, focus him down, get him out of the equation, because he is sitting in a T32, which is a tank which just gets better as the game goes on. As tanks go down, as damage is done. If you have a full team of AMX 3090s, T69s, you know, tier 8 tanks, T32 is not too much of a worry. But even if you miss 1 or 2, when you have to focus on a tank with 1,550 HP, the whole tank is a track. It's really hard for a T69 to penetrate. Then you start to struggle.
Yeah, and Sharthak has just spotted out Rod. I think they might be working out how many tanks are actually present down this 9 to 0 line. They've just taken him down, so that's another kill in favor to Odem Mortis. Excuse me, now it's all even. So 1 for 1. The base is being captured, so a little bit of pressure now being put towards Odem Mortis here. Let's see how they respond to this. It's only 1 tank in there. There's not overcommittal yet from DeNova, but they're certainly looking to make a move happen out of Odem Mortis. But can they do enough and not give away the whole game?
Well, they tried Cappy on Ensk, didn't go too well. So I don't think Odem's going to be worrying too much. Thoros just takes 1. He's down to 1, 2, 4, 6 in his T32, which is probably the best tank to take some damage. SD Dynamo straight out of there. Thoros trying to make another shot. That T32 has about 0.37 accuracy, which isn't too great. About the same as an AMX 3090. Dr. Red Deep taking 1 as well, down to 1050. So, okay, the shots are being exchanged. DeNova certainly getting themselves back into this fight a little bit. They are a team that's extremely strong on steps. A team that's won against many good teams here. They won against Spale, if you remember that. So they're definitely in favor, I think, to take it. But they just need to find a way in. And so far, Odem Mortis just completely riposting every time they try and joust forwards.
Now let's keep in mind, DeNova cannot play for anything other than a win right now. They need to get this map to draw it overall. If they draw it, it still goes in favor to Odem Mortis. So they lose it, it definitely does. So it's all down to DeNova. Odem Mortis know that. They're turtled down, they're playing smart, and they didn't over-rotate, they didn't over-peak towards the cap then, and they're still just being kept in this small section. But for me, it's a matter of when do DeNova make their move? When does that time limit give them, you know, that final push? And we can only find out with 3 minutes and 23 seconds left. Odem Mortis are just looking over that horizon, waiting for those opposition tanks to appear right now.
What I love about Odem Mortis' play right now is that they've got Sharthak up there. And Sharthak got spotted, so he knows that an AMX 3090 or another tier 8 tank is there. He probably knows that the tanks are on the rotate, trying to get back to him. So he is, for Odem Mortis, great information. They know tanks are not towards their base. They can really react on that and make sure that they play defensively and make sure they play smartly. But SD Dynamo is going to come round onto him. International is going to take him out, though, forcing him to that position. So 2 T1s down for the side of Odem Mortis for just 1 on the side of DeNova. But for Odem Mortis, invaluable bit of information. 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock as well. There's only so much DeNova can really push forwards and do. Uncrow punishing Phoenix, but getting punished in turn by Bad News and that Pershing.
Yeah, it's a very tentative battle right now. No one wants to make that huge commitment. Thoris and Threaten just peering their heads over the defilade of the hill, trying to make a shot towards Bad News, who's just sitting back towards that 8E section, but no, real damage being created for him yet. And Odem Mortis seem on the back foot almost. They feel very passive to me. There's another exchange. Uncro does get the shot towards Phoenix. One comes back. So slowly but surely, DeNova are chipping away at Odem Mortis' health.
Yeah, but they're getting chipped away as well. We can see Bad News took one there, 1-1-4-2, and it doesn't look like DeNova finally going aggressive. 1 minute and 56 seconds left on the clock. That's pretty much 2 minutes. Let's see what Odem Mortis can do to stop this.
Well, Odem Mortis, they are on the back foot, but here comes that folder you were talking about. Thren's in a great position. He's behind them all. Can he come around and make the shots count? Yes, he can. Rest in peace going low, but Uncro has fallen to FC Dynamo. The exchange going through. Thoris on his own, but Thren's there to cover him off. And this is what Odem Mortis are fantastic at. Threaten in the best position in the world, but can they continue the pain? Can they hold up? Can they make these shells count in the very last couple of seconds? With 1 minute and 10 on that cap, Phoenix is making the shots count towards Thoris. Bad News punishing him as well. And you can see the DJ Radip is out of this battle. Devil has to be passive. And there's another screaming shot coming in from DeNova, bringing it back so damn close here.
It's 3 tier 8 tanks for 3 Devils down to 40 HP though. Threaten's got to really get his work underway. I think Thoris shouldn't have gone down then. Obviously the tier 8 Pershing's gun, 268 penetrations, plenty to do it. And Threaten on the reload, but Dr. Deep is having a go at Phoenix there, and he's down to 10 HP.
Well, he's got to. There's 10 seconds left on this cap. They've got to make their move and make it right now. It's FC Dynamo in the cap point. They've just about reset it under 15 seconds, but that has allowed DJ Deep to receive more shells, and it's back to 10 seconds. It's not a fantastic reset. Phoenix does another bit of damage with only 10 HP remaining, and this is going right down to the wire right now. This could be DeNova picking this up, unless DJ Deep can land the shell right about now, and I don't think he can. DeNova have held on. They've just about drawn this one out. Odem Mortis just could not secure it that last couple of seconds, and that was unbelievable play from DeNova.
Amazing stuff there. That's the extra dimension of pressure really being used to its absolute potential. Putting those 2 tanks in the cap just stopped it altogether.
Yeah.
And I think if Thoris didn't play so aggressively in that T32, not the first mistake he's made in this best of 5, he would have been able to stop the cap. He had his turret turned towards one tank, but he left it for the Pershing. And honestly, the T32 in that game, the ultimate bane to that tank is a Pershing. It's got 268 millimeters of penetration, so it'll just cut through the frontal glaciers like butter. And I think for Odem, that was the only mistake they made. Apart from that, it was almost perfect. I think maybe a couple of shells wasted here and there. DeNova tried it, though. They really went on the initiative, went forwards. But it just took it to a draw, so 2-2 for both teams, 1 point each. We're just going to have to see how that plays into the kind of rankings altogether.
Well, let's keep in mind, DeNova are fairly safe at the moment. The only team close to them are Mousesports. Mousesports are on 26 points, so even with a victory, Mousesports won't get near them just yet. Obviously, points can build up. There's enough play days to do it. Let's not say they're completely safe, but they at least got 1 point out of that. Whereas if Odem Mortis picked that up, that would create a huge bit of change. But 1 point is still not bad. That's probably going to be their toughest opponent, excluding Dignitas and Virtus Pro. So they can't be upset. It's a bit of a shame that they couldn't quite do on that final map because they played so well to that point.
Yep.
But then just DeNova just kicked it up a gear like they can, and that's why DeNova are in that top 3 right now in my eyes.
Yeah, I mean, Odem Mortis got a little bit unlucky here and there. I mean, Prokhorov, for instance, one mistake by Thoris in his AMX 3090, that stopped the win there. I think on steps, there's not really that much they could have done better. I think the both teams were so good at that map that they cancelled each other out there. But mistakes happen, and it's really why DeNova couldn't push forwards and really make the wins count. For instance, I think on Himmelsdorf they had tried a more aggressive tactic, made a little bit more of a stance on that map, and they're very strong on. I think it would have been a win for DeNova.
Well, it was a great game to kick off with. It was a bit tactical. It wasn't, the fast and furious games that we sometimes see, but it certainly was something you had to watch there because the rankings really came into effect. But obviously there's another game coming up soon. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's take into account that was a draw with someone who's, in top 3 up against someone who's just about in the top 6 here. So to assume it was going to be a draw was a bit of a stretch. I don't think I'd have said a draw. I'd have said DeNova won that. I'd have said it'd be a 3-2, something around that marker, maybe even more extreme because DeNova are playing really well. And Odem Mortis did slip recently. And I'm kind of curious how many people at home actually got that one right. And I know there's a certain lady in this studio who can let us know how many of you guys at home actually got that one correct, because I wouldn't be too sure myself going for a draw. But Melly, how many people at home actually guessed that one going towards a draw?
I quickly scrolled through the comments, but holy. I nearly had said of something that's not allowed to say on the stream. But, well, DeNova really managed to save themselves from worse in the very last minute.
For sure.
And, yeah, the community has chosen Odem Mortis with a good of 60% in the vote as the favorites in this encounter. So
Wow.
I'm surprised, because in my eyes, that's I don't know,
That's against the rankings.
Exactly.
What are you guys doing?
That's what I was trying to say. Because the last time those two teams played against each other, DeNova was clearly dominating Odem Mortis. So, well, obviously the community is more forgiving than me, because, the vote said clearly different. And maybe they were rather focusing on the last match days or play days than on single matchups. So, for example, Odem Mortis drawing versus Pro.
True. It's you can't deny Odem Mortis. They're a talented team, but DeNova have been so on point recently. That's the difference in my eyes, that they've been strong throughout. Odem Mortis have highs and lows.
Exactly. They're kind of struggling, maybe not overall, but on the maps themselves.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know. What can you do about that? Train more or train more effective?
It's just working on your weaknesses, watching back your games, I think, seeing where it went wrong and just trying to improve them. They're not a bad team. They never have been. But it's about just getting that final bit of execution down. And we saw it on certain occasions, just the individual skill as well being an issue. Just obviously practicing hours and hours worth does really help. And that's why the teams at the top are at the very top, because they practice a hell of a lot. So it's probably it.
Yeah. So people, you heard it, train more, get better, as easy as it is. So I've just noticed that we released the beta of our ESL Play website.
I do believe we have.
And I've also seen that World of Tanks is one of the 2 featured games in this very beta. So I think this will make competitive play a lot easier, right?
I mean, we've got 2 test cups up. The Train to Ensk and Lord of the Banana. Very inventive names by myself, I do say so.
It's an interesting one.
Yeah, Lord of the Banana for Himmelsdorf, because he got
like
the banana
your
road.
favorite food.
And
exactly,
Train to
favorite
Ensk because you got a trains on Ensk. So I think it's
Wow.
interesting. But yeah, you just head over to beta.esl.eu. You can see the World of Tanks. You got a link there. Just click on that. Sign up. It's 10 versus 10 tier 8 limit in terms of tanks. You've got 80 points to spend, so you can just take 10 tier 8s. And we 16 teams we need to sign up. So just get involved. Try our new website out. It's just the beginning here. It's literally just the beginning of the beta, just gone out of alpha. So we got loads of new functions coming up, loads of new cool stuff. So just keep involved. Make sure you give our feedback towards the right side. Give us a feedback on forums, and we'll hopefully create the best user experience we possibly can, so you guys can enjoy our cups even more than you already do.
You've heard it. We need feedback from you guys. Head over to Twitter and tweet us. What do you think about this very beta? And anything else? No questions so far. So the 3 tweets of the day are still vacant. Head over to Twitter and tweet us what's on your mind. Any questions, anything you want to say, just use the hashtag WGLEU and get involved, and maybe grab one of 3 bonus codes. They're up for grabs, as easy as it is. The next vote will be up in a few minutes. And that's all from my side.
Well, there you go. Melly told you what to do. Go get involved, because the next vote will be up in a couple of minutes. And it's these 2 fairly small teams. You may not have heard of them. They're a little bit new to World of Tanks, but I am talking about Team Dignitas. I am also talking about Virtus Pro. It is the top dogs going head to head. It's going to be incredible. Don't go too far away from your computers. Maybe make a cup of tea. Maybe make a coffee if you're more, preferable to that. Cup of tea is the way forward, though, I do assure you, because that's the game you want to be watching. It's rank 1 against rank 2. These 2 have been going head to head throughout every single league you can imagine. And, well, we're going to find out who's going to come out the better in just a moment. So, guys, don't go too far. We'll be back after the break. Hopefully, you'll be as well.